get into the asymmetrical top cut. That is going to really put your name on the map. Prizes coming down. What do we see, Joe?
Well, I see the one copy of Pheasantipity EX for Owen Kammerman, who is playing a Gholdengo EX archetype. Christian, as you saw with the prize cards, is going to be rocking the Dragapult matchup. There we go, the fist bump, and it's double Budgie to start.
Yeah, Christian's going to be taking our first turn here. Starts off with that Buddy Poffin. Christian is going to be on that Dragapult deck we know so well. And of course, if you are new to the deck, it is very much a Dragapult deck. Phantom Dive does 200 to the active Pokemon while dropping 6 damage counters anywhere you like on the bench. And you combine it with things like Dustoir to drop damage counters, or Lucha to drop some cheeky damage counters, Monkey Dory to move some damage counters. But if you need a bit of time to set up, well, that is where our old friend Badoo comes in. Itchy Pollen, no energy, 10 damage. And if you were hoping on playing items next turn, I got some bad news for you.
Yeah, that is the MO of this archetype. Dragapult can definitely sweep the rug from under players. You buy those couple turns of item lock, then suddenly you can be evolving into not just your Dragapult, but also into some of those ghost Pokemon, curse blasting and picking apart a board before those evolutions have come online. Owen with the Badoo in the Gholdengo, that's already an out-of-the-box pick, really. You don't see it too often, but now been enabled thanks to the air balloons that have become much more popular within the deck list. Actually will allow Owen to slow down Christian as well. So it's going to be an interesting opening here of the back and forth. Christian with a really, really strong opening turn. A couple Dreepy down in addition to a Duskull, even found that energy attachment. It's going to be really important in this matchup. Whenever you face an archetype that can represent one-hit KOs, that you stay on top and maintain your energy attachments. You never want to find yourself in a spot where you can't use that Phantom Dive. You've got to keep up on those. So really an excellent turn one.
Absolutely. We have Neo Upper Energy in the list for that emergency single attachment Phantom Dive, but we want to keep it as an emergency. If we can double attach naturally to use it, that's going to be a big advantage. Now, Owen's going for this Gholdengo deck. Gholdengo got a big new toy in Black Bolt and White Flare, which is that Genesect DX, which has just been searched out with that Nest Ball. Every turn, you get to go and search a couple of evolution metal Pokemon. And as for how the Gholdengo works, it's nice and simple. You put 1 energy on Gholdengo, you get a handful of energy, you make those energy rain down onto the table, and for each one that hits the table, you do 50 damage. You can very literally one-hit KO anything, because you can do as much damage as you like. But there is a 101 Togekiss line in here. Owen's trying to get some cheeky extra prizes.
Yeah, a terrifying stage 2 that can come into the deck. Flipping some coins to gain additional prize cards can really be devastating for all sorts of matchups. Now, Christian is likely going to launch some item lock early, so it's going to be difficult to grab this stage 2 Pokemon, but whenever you see the Wonder Kiss online, your opponent is immediately terrified because there's an opportunity of taking additional prize cards, and that is just so powerful in the TCG, no matter what deck you're playing. Really good start from Owen here by the looks of things with the early Arven. We're also Buddy Poffing out a couple Gimmighoul, and we even have the Genesect EX early, so we can search out 2 Gholdengo EX for the following turn. Everything's looking pretty rosy for him right now, and is quite happy ending on an Itchy Pollen here as well, I would imagine. Although there is the 50 hit point call for family Gimmighoul been searched as well. Possibly Owen grabbed this one simply because it has the lowest amount of hit points. Get this in play before you get hit with the Phantom Dive, so you're not being vulnerable in the later stages of the game, but it does offer up a call for family attack as well, that sometimes is taken into account to draw more cards on a future turn by simply grabbing more Gimmighoul.
It's there if you need it. One thing we do see, these Gholdengo players, they're going to search with Genesect, even though they can't play the Gholdengo now, because now they're not going to draw them next turn. It means their deck is slightly smaller. It means it's slightly more likely to draw the cards they do want. And if you do have your hand altered by something like an Ino, just search them again next turn. Genesect being an every turn ability really is helping these out. Lovely little consistency boost. Over to Christian, we start off with a Dracloak and a Recon Directive.
Yeah, the item lock is initiated, so this Hilda is a great pickup. It will mean we can continue to evolve into more Stage 1 Pokemon, get more Recon Directive. That's always a good sign of when a Dragapult deck is running smoothly, you're going to see a huge number of these Dracloak on the board because it allows you to just see much more of your deck. And Hilda is a fantastic inclusion within these lists to maintain these Stage 1 evolution Pokemon and, once again, keep up on energy attachments, especially when you're A-spec. That Neo Up energy is so critical, getting easy access to that card so you're not frantically trying to draw through your deck to find it is a much more reliable choice here, and that's why we're immediately going to see a second copy of Dracloak and a Fire Energy coming into this hand.
It's always nice to be able to search out those A-spec energy. It's a special energy. There aren't many cards that can search for it, so if you can get one, you take advantage. There is a single copy of Rare Candy in Christian's list. It's always something I look for in Dragapult. Do they have that opportunity to go Rare Candy, Dragapult? Let's speed this game up. They don't need to here. Both players have a Badoo, but there is one Rare Candy we can keep an eye on in case there is that emergency Dragapult that we might need.
Here we go then. Is there any other actions beyond this Recon Directive, or will it simply be an Itchy Pollen back into the opponent? Both these decks are pretty well set up to accept that they submit a few prize cards in the opening and then look to work in their larger EX Pokemon, but it is just going to be the 10 damage prod from Badoo here. I'm going to see the Genesect EX once again from Owen before he begins evolving into these Gholdengo EX and begins to tick up our Gimmighoul counter that we've been following all weekend, knowing that we're expecting a lot of coins to be bonused here throughout Frankfurt, and we're going to see that once again this round.
And you've even shown enough faith, Joe. You're rocking the Gimme pin today. I love that. The coin bonus is going to be here. You draw 1 extra card if you activate it from the bench, but if you get to the active, you actually draw 2 extra cards. Ooh, it was the
Not right now, but that's always a dangerous card to have in the hand.
Oh, we're going to go for the KO straight away. Always an interesting question here. Do you want to go for the single prize KO or wait for the Dragapult? But of course, take a single prize KO here, and then if Christian ever uses a Dusknoir, brilliant. Now I'm back on a 2 prize per attack prize map.
Do we have enough energy alongside Boss's orders to knock out a more important Pokemon? No, doesn't look like the case. So we'll just use a Cypher Maniac's code breaking to improve our top decks here by stashing any 2 cards to the top of your deck. Sometimes you can use this card before using coin bonus, and you immediately access those cards. In this case, Owen's going to use it after using all of his coin bonus, so we'll be stashing cards to the top to improve his hand off the top of the deck, or in case he gets hit with an INO, he'll immediately access those cards as well for the next turn.
That would be nice. Looks like we're eyeing up a Gimmighoul and a basic energy.
Yeah, honestly, physical basic energy are really important. When you're under item lock, you can't use your Earthen Vessel, you can't use your own A-Spec, the Energy Search Pro, so naturally getting towards these basic energy is actually really important here. So you can see why that's been put to the top.
Absolutely.
Going to be the metal energy here as well.
We don't yet have a Togekiss down. We don't even have a Togepi down. But of course, we see things like Cypher Maniac's code breaking. That does make it much easier to get a rare candy and a Togekiss here. Because there's only 1 rare candy, and it is there just for the Togekiss. We see the hit, we see the KO. Purdue goes down. Owen goes up by 1 prize and goes and grabs. Oh look, it's that Pheasant Dipty.
It's a pretty good prize to take. You know that Dragapult is going to be a disruptor throughout the game of your hand, so having access to Flip the Script makes the puzzle even more awkward for a Dragapult player, now having to play around Flip the Script in future turns. But we have a nice Ultra Ball to kick things off here for Christian, who is already looking at a lot of draw power, could be looking at getting their own Pheasantipity in the mix. No, it's going to be the early Dusclops. These Pokemon are really important to maintain throughout the game because typically Dragapult's damage doesn't line up perfectly into Gholdengo. Knowing that Gholdengo EX builds often play a couple copies of the Professor Turo. There's 1 in this case for Owen. Also, there can be tech inclusions like Picnic Basket, for example. In this case, Owen isn't choosing to use that card. But just generally, you need to maintain more damage than just Phantom Dive because there are situations where your opponent can undo the damage that you're trying to set up. So you need to be a little bit more on top of things and Curse Blast through more dangerous threats. We're immediately going to be pivoting out of the Dracloak, re-establishing the Psych Energy attachment and doing a clean Professor's Research for 7 cards here. We've already made our retreat, so we know we're having a slow turn here, Ross. Yep. But we're still building a very strong board.
I remember when if you used to use a card like this with an empty hand to draw 7, we used to have a nice friendly high five over the table. Those days appear to be gone. What is not gone, however, that Purdue, there's going to be more pollen, it's going to be a little bit itchy. There is a counter catcher in Christian's hand, so if he wants to strand something like a Genesect, this might be an option.
It's definitely one of those cards that's got slightly weaker with Air Balloon coming out.
Yes.
It's an easy way to pivot these Pokemon, and Owen typically is playing a high count of both the Cypher Maniac and the Arven, so should have good access to the Air Balloon. So we may see Christian actually value holding on to Countercatcher until they're actually launching more devastating attacks, but it can still sometimes throw a spanner in the works, and there are plenty of Countercatcher in the list.
And I do believe we've already seen Owen play the Arven, so I think Christian knows there is an Air Balloon in hand. So it would be maybe potentially a bit silly. Itchy Pollen for no damage because of the grass resistance on Gholdengo, but you are at least stopped playing item cards. We draw, oh look, it's that Gimmighoul again, plus a Levintia, that Stadium card. So there is an option here to just discard an energy from hand, make it rain to KO the Purdue, but can we set up anything else in the meantime?
There's not too much else you need to set up. The Togepi is never safe to put into play. Even these Gimmighoul are vulnerable. They can be targeted with Curse Blast in addition to Phantom Dive. But I think Owen does have to maintain as many Gholdengo EX as possible because he's quite happy taking 1 prize at a time in this instance. Ideally, again, if there's any Gust available, that would be fantastic. But I think, again, the only energy in this hand is the metal that he stashed to the top. So it is simply going to be a KO here with the Make It Rain for 50 damage. Owen goes up a 2nd prize card in this game. And the clock's starting to tick on Christian now. He has to really get moving. The good news is he's sat on a monster hand size and has a lot of draw this turn.
He does. There is always an option for playing a Holucha, put that Gimmighoul down to 60 HP, and then that can be KO'd with that residual damage from Phantom Dive. So we can see a KO on the Gimmighoul plus a lot of damage into the Gholdengo here. Although, to be fair, if you wanted to really go for it, you could even use Dusknoir, and you could have a free prize turn, getting rid of the Gholdengo and the Gimmighoul.
I think that's always a decent shout, especially with that budgie that's going to sit in play and be vulnerable for an easy knockout later on in the game. So that's always a decent shout. There's already a couple of stage 2s in the hand here, but we're going to continue to recon direct before anything else. Perhaps that's a sign that Iono will be the play this turn. Now that we have the Jamming Tower, the Counter Catcher also becomes more appealing.
Yes.
You can deny the Air Balloon from being a useful out to retreat. There's the Holucha mentioned, Ross.
Well, he is taking it into hand, and there is a bench space available if he wants to play it. Would put the Gimmighoul down into perfect range there. Here comes the Dusknoir, evolving the active. That now does give an option to then KO the Gholdengo. We see an energy, Luminous Energy, so now that Dracloak, when it evolves, will have the requisite energy. Speaking of which,
we will be evolving up.
Here is the evolution.
We're playing out as much of our hand as possible before an eventual Iono here. It's whether or not we want to spend both the Jamming Tower and the Counter Catcher together. and hit into a Pokemon, it would make a, well, here we go, the Curse Blast will give us a good idea of what the turn entails. It's going to be into the active Gholdengo EX. It does feed another prize for Owen here in order to set this Pokemon up for an easy KO for our Phantom Dive.
Do we see the Hawlucha come down to take out the Gimmighoul as well, or do we have other plans?
It makes a lot of sense to me, especially when this is a matchup where the Monkey Dory is not that valuable. You're facing down a deck that is going to naturally one-hit KO you or not attack at all, essentially. Yes. There's not going to be use for your Monkey Dory anywhere else, so Hawlucha comes in, flying in. It is going to be the counter catcher in the end, alongside the Jamming Tower, so still that play outlined. And it will be the INO to set Owen's monster hand size all the way down to 3 cards here.
And let's not forget that Christian did use Dustoir, giving Owen a prize, but actually then making his INO from a 4-card to a 3-card INO, making it that little more effective. And this is where the game could turn. Genesec's in the active. Air Balloon isn't online because of Jamming Tower. Owen's been put to a 3-card hand. And now we're going to start seeing one prize taken, but a lot of damage hitting the board. This could be where Christian starts to turn the tide into his favor nicely.
Speaking of which, a nice-looking Night Stretcher that could re-establish a Dusclops here as well.
Oh, nice.
Once again, threatening even more damage next turn, and actually threatening possibly game next turn with a 6-card prize swing, depending on how we place our counters here with Phantom Dive. What I really like about this play is that there's only 2 energy in Owen's discard pile right now. That's usually the fuel that a Gholdengo requires to cleanly knock out these Stage 2 Pokemon via superior energy retrieval. So we are going to set this Gholdengo EX up quite nicely for a KO whilst taking that single prize knockout, knowing that Christian can then mop up 5 prize cards potentially next turn with Dusclops into taking out the Budew and taking out the Genesect in one way or another. It's looking like Owen really has to piece something together this turn, otherwise he's in immediate danger.
Absolutely. Doesn't even need the Dusclops next turn. If he attacks into the Gholdengo, Badoo's got 2 damage counters remaining, Genesect's got 1. It is a Phantom Dive for 5 prizes next turn if Christian wants it, which I imagine he probably does.
I think he'd want that. It looks like it's only Cypher Maniac in the hand. Many superior energy retrieval, 2 superior energy retrievals, but they're not getting a lot of value. We can't even move with Air Balloon. We can pluck some Stage 1 Pokemon out of the deck first with our Genesect EX, just to give us fuel for the superiors, but still not looking great. I think Christian's in a phenomenal spot here.
It's looking really, really good for Christian.
We must stress there are no tech cards like the Picnic Basket in this case. There's not the Moonlit Hill Stadium card in the Gholdengo list. That's another means of healing that's sometimes employed by the Gholdengo EX players.
Yeah,
in this case, not available.
Would Picnic Basket be in there for you? Picnic Basket will be fun regardless. We do get the Gholdengo being pulled out by the Genesect here. Again, I think you're right, Joe. We're probably just looking at fodder here for the superior energy retrieval. There's no Gimmighoul down, ready to evolve.
Owen's literally in this position where he's deciding on this Cypher Maniac if he can get him out of this rut. He'd have to find a stadium card in order to move his Genesect EX out of the way.
Yep.
Or you leave it active and force a gusting effect. That doesn't feel good whatsoever.
Nope. Well, the good news is there's 2 coin bonus. So the cards that are put at the top of Cypher Maniac will be drawn immediately. And it looks like we're going Energy Search Pro and a Counter Stadium, which does mean you can then retreat the Genesect, search out all the energy with Energy Search Pro, KO the active Dragapult using your undamaged Gholdengo.
Right.
And then in theory, it's still Gust for game for Christian, but at least you've got a chance if you're Owen there.
I think that is the best we can make out of this Cypher Maniac. We're going through the damage right now for Owen, if it makes sense, alongside the superiors, which are still online this turn. But again, we're still just in a dodge and weave situation from Owen. Christian would have to find an energy card, a Dragapult EX, and either a gusting effect or a means of getting his Dustoir back. That would be the combination. It's only a few cards needed with this much, this much draw, sat on a decent hand size, I think, unless we've gone low.
We've still got at least 1 Dracloak, a second Dracloak potential there. Maybe if there's a Dipty coming down, certainly a lot of options. By the way, I had a bit of time there to do the maths. Picnic Basket would save the 5 prize KO. You'd be 1 damage counter away. I think that's important just to know. It's not in the deck, but I did the maths, I checked it. We are using coin bonus. We've got the Levincha. That gets rid of Jamming Tower, which allows the Genesect to retreat using Air Balloon. That's part of the puzzle. We then get 2 cards with a new active Gholdengo. Unfortunately, the second was another Genesect. That is not doing any good. Energy Search Pro, however, will. But remember, Dragapult's a pretty big boy. You're going to need 7 energy plus the metal to attach to the active in order to get the KO here. So it's not a given yet. There's 6.
That's 6. There are 2 in the discard pile, so we can make it come together. You'd have to discard some additional cards from your hand here in order to make it happen. The Genesect EX is like good fodder in the hand right now. You'd also give up 1 of your Gholdengo EX, and it feels like the game's coming down to just these next 2 turns, so it doesn't look like you need any more Gholdengo at this stage.
Nope.
So it will be a knockout coming together here for Owen. Also, by going down to 1 prize, it then shuts off the use of Curse Blast, so it would still force more from Christian next turn.
Absolutely would. Curse Blast is actually a really good option to KO the Gholdengo right now, meaning you wouldn't need Gusting. So taking a prize here would mean that you would then force Christian to need Gusting to end the game next turn, which is a pretty big deal. Looks like we pieced together enough energy eventually. Down goes the Dragapult. Owen Cameraman goes to 1 prize remaining. Curse Blast is no longer an option. And look, basically either Christian wins this turn or it's incredibly likely Owen wins next turn. We need Dragapult, Energy, Gusting. Those 3 cards will guarantee the win. Fezandipti going to the bottom because you need the counter catcher. Yeah. That doesn't feel good. You want both those cards.
You would love both of those cards. You can reset the deck with Buddy Buddy Poppin here to give yourself a better odds of drawing back into that Fezandipti EX. But counter catcher's a piece. You have to take that. We're going to bring up the damaged Gholdengo EX. We already have evolved into a Dragapult, and now it's a big research for 7 cards, Ross, looking to find energy.
We just need an energy. Energy means that we can then just, use Phantom Dive, KO the active, KO the Genesect, KO the Badoo. That's 5 prizes. You win the game. Is there any energy in there?
No.
Wait, there's no energy?
We have Nest Ball, Ross. We have a means of using Fezandipti that we put to the bottom of the deck.
Okay.
There's still an option to potentially use 1 more Recon Directive as well. Somehow 7 cards, that's a big miss.
And Neo Upper is still in there. And is it just the 2?
Luminous Energy works, Night Stretcher works. We're going to see the Ultra Ball first as well that will give us access to 1 more Dracloak.
Yeah, I like this. Then you're essentially seeing 5 cards from the top of your deck, and as long as one's an energy, we're actually going.
There's 1 Psychic, 1 Luminous, 1 Neo Upper, and 1 Night Stretcher from where I can sit.
I know, that's exactly what I saw. 3 energy and 1 potential out, 2 an energy. Oh no, Night Stretcher isn't energy. 4 outs.
As long as there's a fire energy. I think there's a fire in the discard. We have 5 cards to see it. First, split the script.
No, yes! Well, if there is a fire energy in the discard, which there is, and now we see the Phantom Dive, KO in the Gholdengo, KO in the Genesect, KO in the Badoo. Christian takes 5 prizes in 1 attack and takes game 1 on this crucial winning in for the asymmetrical top cut.
Beautifully played there from Christian. Patient player as he built towards his stage 2 evolutions. And he attacked twice that game. Yep. He pinpointed the Pokemon that he had to target down, made the most of his Curse Blast, gave himself a few different avenues. Let's go through the replay here and see how it happened. The early Curse Blast into the active Gholdengo, and then pushing it out the way, trying to target down the lower hit point Genesect, trying to lock up even the Air Balloon, thanks to the Jamming Tower, alongside this crucial hand disruption turn, meaning that Owen didn't have easy means of grabbing his own Professor Turo scenario. Really the only card that could have bought him more time in this case. So the best thing Owen could stitch together with a Cypher is this big knockout, putting himself down to just 1 prize card remaining and undoing the likelihood of a Curse Blast. But Christian had this big turn, but fortunately gave himself a lot of draws to get there, Ross.
He did, and it took a while. Had to draw 10 cards in the end, but the good news was there was an 11, including a draw for turn. But the point is, he got the card, and that was crucial. One thing we need to bear in mind, Atari doesn't do either of these players any good in terms of getting into top cut. Absolutely, it can help with, say, a top 16 placement or something like that. That 1 match point, absolutely crucial in some ways. But if you're looking for top cut, and let's face it, they're looking for top cut, you need to win this match. Christian, in a very nice position, needs to either win another game or have the next game not end. Owen's got half an hour to win 2 games to get into top cut.
It's a tough one, but we do know Gholdengo can really race through those prize cards when it gets rolling. Yes, you can take some time deliberating over your own ciphers and whatnot, but generally, because you have that reach into 1-hit KOs, you should be able to still work your way through the game within these 28 minutes. So I'm hoping that time isn't a huge factor here. That being said, we're getting into our game number 2. Some really awkward prize cards for Christian now, with the Fezandipti EX, the Hawlucha that was very handy in that game number 1, even that Blood Moon Ursaluna that can be a late game finisher. Looks like Christian's been forced first here, leads out with the Latias EX, does have a Luminous Energy for the Dreepy, but no access to Buddy Buddy Poppin or any additional basics. This could be a great opening for Owen because, as we know, he has Badoo in his own deck, and that could shut down a lot of the ball search that Christian has within his list.
Absolutely could. Good news for Christian is that Dreepy is not getting KO'd this turn. That is not how Owen's deck work. Bad news is you've not done very much, and Owen can basically slow you down. And now, are you even going to be able to get your own Badoo to slow Owen down? Because if not, essentially you're locked out of items, but your opponent isn't. They can set up their combo and you can't. And that could lead to a pretty quick victory, which is what Owen's looking for here. We've got plenty of time for now, but this is the kind of game where you need to win, and you do need to win quicker rather than slower. So a quick check here of the energy in the deck, I think, is what Owen's doing.
Yep, always useful when you have your Energy Search Pro to know how much damage you can burst onto the board in one go. Turns out there is a Fire Energy and 1 of the 2 Lightning Energy in the prize card, so that's something he'll take a quick note of. But there is a second Buddy Buddy Poppin in the hand, and Owen has to see whether or not he values this more or less than going for Ultra Ball fodder for a Genesect here. Because he has priced his 1 Call for Family Gimme Ghoul. That could have been an option. He could Turo the active Monkey Dory and get a Call for Family in to then guarantee your Genesect. But in this case, the Call for Family Gimme Ghoul is in the prize cards. So Owen's just going to hold up on that, grab that 3rd and final Gimme Ghoul within his deck, and not go for a Budget line here, unless we're going to be discarding some cards for it. Going to be getting rid of that Togekiss in addition to 1 of those Gholdengo EX, and it will be the Genesect coming down this way.
Yeah, searching out those couple of Gholdengo. You can't use them until next turn, but again, if they're not in your deck, you cannot draw them, which means you're going to draw something else, which you would much rather do, because you can search these with your Genesect. And of course, if you get Iono, just do it again next turn. You'll be fine. I love Genesect, such a good card.
It's a crazy card, honestly. It's so
Every turn ability.
Yeah.
Genesect keeps getting abilities that you're like, no, surely it's, oh, no, okay, fine. You can use that more than I thought you could. Now we do get that Monkey Dory out of the active, Gimmighoul sitting in the active, and then we just pass over to Christian again. Owen pretty sure that Christian cannot get a KO this turn.
And immediately evolving into Dracloak basically guarantees that. We'll see the Iono coming in now. But Christian, relieved not to see an Itchy Pollen in this case, has decent outs to find Buddy Poffin, still wants to work on getting multiple basics down himself here. Immediately at least finds a Budgie on his side of things and a Dreepy, so pretty good so far, all things considered. But that is just a vulnerable one Dracloak. And whenever you see only one of the stage 1 evolutions in play, that's immediately warning signs that you're in danger of an early boss's orders play.
Really is. Now, technically, Dracloak can actually KO Gimmighoul. It does do 70, but I just
don't think you're putting that in risk.
No, you're not going to leave it in the active and let it get KO'd for the sake of getting a prize off of a Gimmighoul when your opponent's got 2 others. If it was the only Gimmighoul, maybe, but it isn't. So in comes Badoo, Itchy Pollen, 10 damage, and there will be no item cards from Owen this turn. Decent little recovery there from Christian, but we have now got 1 Dracloak, and you're only playing 1 rare candy. If Owen can get some gusting this turn, this could be a great opportunity to take out the only Dracloak and really put Christian on the back foot.
I do just want to highlight that final recon directive. Well, the only recon directive Christian had was grabbing that rare candy, and he's holding on to Hilda. Ooh. So he's actually already planned for the worst in a way, with that boss's orders looking like a fantastic line for Owen this turn as he continues to use his coin bonus here. Like, from Owen's side, that feels like such a strong play. It actually hasn't lined up because it's going to be a Cypher Maniac regardless, but I love that Christian was right on his toes and being aware of Owen's best line of play and accommodating for it already. Absolutely.
Hilda can get your Dragapult and your Neo Upper Energy plus the rare candy, and you've got a Phantom Dive rocking next turn. Cypher Maniac here is going to go and grab a couple of cards. Looks like an energy and an... no, just a couple of energy.
A couple of energy cards. You go for the counts that you have more than one of, so you still maintain the maximum value from your Energy Search Pro. That's what Owen's trying to sculpt here. I think already has an energy in the hand to attach or use for fodder for the Budgie. So just maintaining these energy means that you have Energy Search Pro available for later. And again, we've used our coin bonuses here. So these are cards to stack on the top for next turn.
No, you're going to draw into them. Always a bonus. Yeah, we got the Metal Energy to attach, and we got a Grass Energy to discard as well. So that means the KO on the Badoo is already here. Could potentially have gone for the Poker Gear to try and search out that boss's orders, but it doesn't look like they would have had the energy anyway. And to be fair, after an Itchy Pollen, Poker Gear is a pretty hard card to play. One could say, Joe, you're not even allowed to play it.
Not even allowed. Here comes the Hilda then. This was already planned from Christian. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a Neo Upper Energy plus Dragapult, but no, we're going to maintain the draw engine and still take it slower. Christian really being disciplined in this case. The potential to have an early Phantom Dive here. You're opting not to go for it. I feel like it's pretty safe when you already have an energy on the bench to make that line of play. You are sort of sacrificing your A-spec, but Christian weaved in his Curse Blasters so efficiently last game. I still think that's in his thinking.
It's worth noting, we didn't see Neo Upper Energy last game at all. Even with, Christian winning the game and having those 2 big attacks, we didn't actually need it because this is a deck where, especially with Badoo and slowing it down, you can go through many games without ever needing a Neo Upper. It's there for the turns where you really need it. So I agree, this could have been a fun turn to use it. It's irrelevant now. There is no Dreepy to evolve up into a Dragapult. So all we're going to do here...
We do already have an Ultra Ball in hand. Either of these could still be fodder for that Ultra Ball, because we can still find a Dragapult EX that way.
Okay, and we do still have an energy attachment potentially, so maybe...
Yeah. We can still certainly attack with a Phantom Dive. It just means that because you had the candy combination and early access to Hilda, you could guarantee that Neo Upper now on a turn. You didn't really need to use Iono or anything else. Now it might be a little bit more awkward to weave in a Hilda as the game progresses.
Absolutely might. There was a really awkward decision there from the Dracloak. Do I go for the Dust Skull to set up my Ghost to do Curse Blast, or do I get Counter Catcher, which I can use right now to drag something active? Ended up going for the Dust Skull there. Again, having seen how good it was last turn, but it looks like... Yep. Not a Dragapult at all, Joe. It's a second Badoo.
That means we're going slow.
Double Badoo worked out last game.
Yep, it certainly did. Ultimately as well, you can still use Counter Catcher and put 10 damage on the Gimmighoul as well. Even that can set you up for Phantom Dive later. We saw Horlucha do that brilliantly in that first game, so even that 10 damage can be relevant with Counter Catch plays. But we actually value the Dust Skull instead, didn't we?
Yeah, the Counter Catcher wasn't grabbed, I'm afraid, but we do just see the 0 damage here. Gholdengo, of course, Metal Pokemon, resistant to Grass, but item cards are turned off. Now, we know we're going to get the KO on the Badoo. You need a basic energy, and we saw Cypher Maniac's Codebreaker. We know that's going to happen. What Christian's trying to do is basically say, look, this is all you get this turn, and by next turn, I'm going to be ready to go.
Owen going to coin bonus into the cards he put to the top with Cypher Maniac, then use his Metallic Signal from Genesect to grab that third Gholdengo EX before getting a couple additional coins here. Hopefully we're keeping up on how many we're grabbing.
Yeah, the counter's getting a lot of run this game. I love to see that. And Cypher Maniacs and Turo give some supporter options as well.
There is boss's orders in the hand. I really like this.
Yeah.
I was also debating, if you didn't have access to boss, even just taking out the budgie with an over KO, getting rid of even more energy, so you start stashing your attachments in the discard pile for your superior. That was something that was lacking for Owen last game. But in this case, the boss is far better. I'd love to take out a Duskull here. The energy attachment onto Monkey Dory, whenever you have a chance to weave this in, it's fantastic. Owen recognizes that, because every damage counter can come in your favor. It's going to be a Dragapult here. Still targeting the engine, knowing that you can take out a single Dragapult in one attack as well. Maintaining that board state quite nicely here.
Not using the Monkey Dory to move that damage off of Gholdengo. Ah, there we go. I was going to say.
You're actually just taking it completely off the board altogether, knowing that your opponent, Christian, could also use their own Monkey Dory throughout the game. So we're just going to turn that damage into nothing. Now we have Rare Candy into Dusk Noir. That was what we were holding the Rare Candy onto, Ross.
Okay, I like that.
Now we have to research for a fresh 7 cards here. You have to feel like Christian has to re-establish at least a Dreepy, or perhaps might have to think about Blood Moon Ursaluna as one of his options, although that's currently the prize cards. My concern now with not going aggressive last turn is that we're going to start falling behind on the attachment game, but also having used that Rare Candy on Dusk Noir, we can't easily chain a Dragapult attack either. So there's going to be a strange mid-game, like, slow down Budu, Iono, and Hope turn, which is already looking kind of murky to me.
It's not necessarily where you want to be. Just a little play we saw from Owen. Went after the Dracloak with the Luminous Energy rather than the Psychic Energy. The reason you do that, of course, is because now you force a Fire Energy, whereas the Luminous Energy could be combined with either. Just makes it slightly more awkward for Christian to get the relevant energy to use a Phantom Dive. So you think we're going back to Badoo here, do you, Joe?
Well, it's like, I feel like you still need to Phantom Dive this turn, but you didn't use a hand disrupting card, so it never feels good. Owen hasn't yet played their Ace spec either, so there's a strong likelihood this Dragapult is dealt with. But do you really want to sit back and try and dodge boss's orders? You know that Gholdengo is known for playing 3 or 4 copies.
Personally, I don't know. I don't want to just sit back and dodge boss's orders. That's just me, though. We do have a Dragapult in hand, so that can be evolved up.
You can evolve even if you're not attacking with it.
And you have a Luminous Energy, which is important. So that's turned out it was irrelevant in the end. No, it wasn't.
Well, you're still forcing the Luminous, yeah.
Yeah, so here goes Luminous onto the Dracloak here.
This is so awkward. This comes back to the decision of not going Rare Candy from the Hilda with the Neo Upper. I feel like that would have been the way that you could have chained already 2 Phantom Dives, and the board would look starkly different. Because of this, Christian is trying to dodge here, and doesn't even evolve up into the Dragapult. That might make it even easier for Owen to knock out the Dracloak on the bench, and has a lot of coin bonus to do it here. I don't see any energy in the hand right now. I think Levincia would be a big pull here, to grab at least that Lightning in the discard pile. There is the Stadium in hand. So at least we have the KO on the Budu guaranteed, so we can continue with our prize race.
Candy off the
A lot of these cards are not useful, though.
Nope.
Perhaps it's a Cypher Maniac, where you put even a second Lightning on top, then you draw the 1 Lightning and just have them both in the discard pile for you, for Levincia for later.
Might be the play. You need to have, well, you need at least an energy. Levincia will give you the energy. Is there lightning in the discard? Yes, there is.
There's 1 Lightning in the discard right now.
Slightly off to the edge there, but it is there, right next to the metal. So the question is, and we
Baiting the early Professor Turo, just picking up the Genesect, you would imagine. So you can't be hit by Iono, Countercatcher, Jamming Tower, the combination that hit him last game.
There we go.
So he's prepping for that while he already has the KO established. One of the situations where Turo is so good on so many turns of the game.
Yeah, and any Gholdengo can attack. And the Monkey Dory's got a retreat cost of 1 and already has an energy attached. So that, yeah, I love this. Now we've got 2 Lightning in the discard. Levincia will let you get both of them back every turn. That is going to give you just extra consistency. And Owen in a very good position here, up 3 prizes to 0. Yeah. And now, I mean, Christian really needs to start attacking now, needs to start getting some damage on the board. But the easy prizes aren't there like they were in game 1. No. Genesect has 220, not 260. That one's gone. The Gimmighoul aren't there right now. So the easiest you've got is a Monkey Dory, but that's still 110 HP.
It's one of those situations where you almost feel like you need to start using Curse Blast. But as soon as you use one, then Owen's 1 knockout away from potentially winning the game. So there's possibly even a world where we use double Curse Blast here, force Owen down to 1 prize. And then, yeah, we're doing double Curse Blast here, Ross.
Oh, I like this.
Dusk Noir down, Dusclops down, 5 counters onto Monkey Dory, 130 damage now placed onto the Gholdengo, and throwing Owen's hand size from a huge sum down to just 1 card remaining.
And you are going to get 3 prizes. The maths works perfectly. The 6 damage counters from Curse Blast onto, from Phantom Dive onto Monkey Dory, plus the 50 from your Dusclops means 110, that's a KO, and the Gholdengo is easily over KO. That's easy. So you take 3 prizes, and here, this is kind of like an Iono and Hope kind of turn.
It does seem like it, but at this stage, that's more or less where we found ourselves.
Plus, you're taking out 1 Gholdengo, that's 1 less coin bonus.
It is.
So 1 fewer cards. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good compared to what we were a turn or 2 ago.
Yeah, the knockout on Monkey Dory is frustrating, but you sort of have to do it because you're then stopping Owen putting down any other Pokemon that could help out.
Yes.
And at the same time, that can be additional damage for Owen to reach towards a knockout, whilst also undoing your scheme of trying to get a 4 prize turn out of this. So you kind of have to deal with a Monkey Dory here, it feels like. Here comes our last recon directive. There was a Night Stretcher among those. Could be the best option with one of your Dreepy in the prizes. So the Buddy Buddy Poffin going to be thrown to the bottom.
Got two Night Stretcher in hand now. One of them's going to hit the board in here, and it is going to be a Dreepy. Like you said, Joe, getting one of those out, trying to get your Dragapults rolling a bit more easily. Here comes one of them into the active. You've got the energy you need to attack. You've got a counter catcher, but you ain't going to play it. There's a free prize KO. Gholdengo in the active goes down. Monkey Dory on the bench goes down. Christian, free prizes away from winning here. And Owen has got a 1-card hand and 2 Gholdengo. What can he turn it into?
Already got 2 energy, Ross.
Plus Levincia.
Coin bonusing. 2 blanks, essentially. That could still be fodder for superior energy retrieval. We're getting very close to the KO here.
We are in the metal energy, which is absolutely crucial to get onto the Gholdengo in order to attack. We do still have 1 more coin bonus.
We're going to use Buddy Buddy Poppin'. I think this is just to reset the deck, honestly.
Yep.
Because we had a lot of supporters that were thrown to the bottom with INO last turn. So no targets found. It would make Christian's life easier to take 3 prizes if any low hit point Pokemon came into play. But this is just to improve our draws. Coin bonus for 1. Lightning Energy means that we can initiate at least 100 damage into this Dragapult by using Levincia for 1 of your Lightning Energy in the discard pile as well. There it comes, back to the hand. So we are going to launch 100 damage here by the looks of things. It's a safe 100, and Owen isn't in fear of losing the game next turn, so can freely do this and get himself closer to win next turn.
Yeah, it's 150. I like this. I like going for the max damage. The reason why the 2 Lightning are safe, of course, they are recoverable with that Levincia Stadium. You can get them right back next turn, assuming no counter Stadium, which I think is fair to say Christian is going to be trying to go for. Yeah. But again, you're not winning the game this turn. Christian actually needs to KO both Gholdengo, so it's essentially going to be attack, counter catcher, attack is what we're going to need from Christian. Now, the math does work out to 260 perfectly, yay, and getting that Monkey Dory off the field actually kind of crucial to make sure that works. Yeah. But that's still 2 turns of attacking, Joe.
It is. So I think this turn our priority is finding Neo up energy and our next Dragapult EX. If we can work towards that, we can retreat our active Dragapult and go into another very chunky 320 hit point Pokemon. That's still a huge hurdle for Owen to get over with just a couple of Gholdengo. So I think this plan is still in motion. We're going to have some Recon Directive first. Owen sat on a 1-card hand, so Christian doesn't really want to use INO himself here, just a 3. He might want to work towards that Hilda supporter card again this turn.
And I was going to say, he does have 2 in hand. This is crucial, because this means now Owen needs a metal to attach, as well as the ones to discard to take the KO. But it's too risky if you don't know you can gust again next turn, but he can. He's actually got a boss, so he's got 2 lots of gusting. This is actually working nicely for Christian right now.
I don't see any access to Dragapult Hilda, though.
Oh.
So it might be... You really don't want to play this INO because you've just picked up all your gusting cards. You have to shuffle them to the bottom, but that's the safest route we can have here. If this 3-card hand can find our A-Spec and our Stage 2, we can be in a much safer situation. Not quite, just a bunch of supporters.
But the boss is actually very relevant. Oh, it's Scythe Maniac's Code-Breaking, so that's going to be everything. Owen is going to take Game 2, and we are 1-1 with 11 minutes remaining. Now, Joe, we just saw the fist bump with Scythe Maniac's Code-Breaking. Take people through what would have happened if we'd kept playing there.
Well, Owen already had the 1-card hand of the Cypher Maniac, was able to draw for the turn, and had Levincia in play, so could grab back a couple additional Lightning Energy. That gave him plenty of cards to work with, so that after playing the Cypher, he still could have used Superior Energy Retrieval to get enough damage to interplay to finish off that Dragapult EX. So that 1-card hand, by virtue of being able to put crucial cards to the top, especially that Superior Energy Retrieval being the key item card, would have allowed Owen to close out the rest of the damage required for Dragapult EX. Fantastic scenes there from Owen as we go through this replay. Really nice early boss's orders on the Dracloak, where Christian chose to take a slightly slower approach, and it allowed Owen to really shut some doors in this case. Picking up that Genesect EX really prevented Christian from having the most disruptive turn possible. It turned out he ended up having to use gusting effects on Gholdengos rather than the Genesect EX, which meant that there were still more cards to be drawn from coin bonus, and these are easier Pokemon to attack with. So really well played from both players there. I do feel like Christian could have been more aggressive in that case, just by virtue of having the access to the rare candy, but Owen really picked up nicely on the board position and picked it apart really well as well.
Very well explained. Love it. And yeah, it's worth noting, had the Turo not picked up the Genesect, it would have been the Genesect brought active by that last counter catcher, because it still would have given the same 2-attack map, but it meant you couldn't have just attached and attacked. So Turo came in handy. Togekiss is off the board. Oh, we got a Dragapult, a Dracloak. That's a single copy of rare candy, and a Badoo. There are 2 in the deck, but still it's annoying.
And it is Christian who's led with the Budgie in this game number 3. Still 9 minutes remain on the clock, plus 1 additional turn for both players after that time has expired. So both players probably going to be playing a little bit frantically, a little bit quickly to try and get this game concluded, because they both really want that win. And we're seeing that early Buddy Buddy pop in from Owen, grabbing those Gimmighoul as you'd expect. Also going to be throwing the Nespal into the equation as well to grab a 3rd copy of Gimmighoul. Already has that Genesect EX to start, so is holding on to some Gholdengo for next turn. So ultimately has to be pretty happy with that one.
And you saw how quick that turn was, and it just backs up exactly what you said. If they get a tie, that can help with a top 16 or a top 32 placement. That's lovely. That's not what you want. You want to get into that top card, and the only way to do it is to win this game. That'll put you on 34 points. We believe this is not a guarantee. We believe 34 points will be the cutoff, so getting here will get them in, assuming we're correct, which is not a guarantee. So Christian here, buddy popping, and it's an awkward situation. You want to search for prizes, but you're really short of time, so you have to search as fast as you can, get your basics. We are going to see some turbo gameplay because both these players know what the deal is.
And Christian does have a second buddy pop in here as well, so a really good opener for him. That's before using the supporter for turn. I believe there's a Professor's Research in the hand, so stark contrast to that game number 2 where it's just lone Dreepy. Now Christian will have plenty of access to those in addition to one of those Duskull, much more like what he would have wanted in that game number 2, and has access to see a whole heap more cards as well with this research. We want to maintain extra attachments, as we mentioned throughout both games so far. That's how we can maintain our Phantom Dives throughout the game. And Christian's already pretty happy that they've led the Budew, so no need to try and find pivoting cards for it. We can simply launch an Itchy Pollen to end this turn.
That's a pretty sweet turn 1, frankly. Getting free Dreepy and your Duskull, having your Budew already in the active, but you cannot just Budew all game. That's how ties happen. You need to make sure that you Budew for as little as possible and then start throwing out these Phantom Dives at the earliest opportunity. So we do see an I&O from Christian, putting both players to a new hand, and then we're going to see an energy down onto the Dreepy, Itchy Pollen for nothing, because Metal Pokemon have grass resistance. And then we're back over to Owen. His first turn was turbo fast. Let's see if we're going to see a very similar thing coming in here.
A couple more Gholdengo EX easily plucked out via that metallic signal. Means Owen's going to have a lot of draw at his disposal. So we're looking to try and find, ideally, an Arven, I think, here for Air Balloon, if we don't have one just yet. Oh, there is already the Air Balloon in hand, so we can pivot this Genesect EX quite comfortably, going into the Gholdengo and getting the double dip draw, in this case from the coin bonus.
We've got a Metal Energy to attach. We've got an Energy in hand to discard, so the KO is here. Do we want to play another Gimmighoul? It is a potential risk if you play it down.
We've not yet evolved the 50 hit point Gimmighoul. That's almost luring Christian into a spot where they could try and use their Dusclops. That's an intriguing choice from Owen.
Oh, it's a boss's orders onto the Dreepy with the energy. There's the discard to make it rain. There's the KO. And remember, with no energy on the board, that forces Christian to have the Neo upper energy in order to launch an attack. Also worth noting, the only way to get a Dragapult in one turn is with a rare candy. And Christian plays one rare candy, and that one rare candy is in the prizes. There will be no Dragapult this turn.
And that likely means it would just be an Itchy Pollen and build behind it, as we've seen throughout all of these games so far, Ross. Fortunately, there's enough Dreepy on the board that we can now evolve into multiple Drakloak, so Owen can't simply chase down one and then the whole tower comes crumbling down. He can feel a little bit more comfortable with his situation, because Dragapult is kind of known for going pretty slow and building towards this great board state.
Absolutely it is. So Christian gets a 1 evolution into a Drakloak. We had a Recon Directive. Look at the top 2 cards. One goes into your hand, one goes to the bottom of your deck. The Special Energy, the Luminous Energy goes away. The Professor's Research, I believe it was, gets kept. Second Drakloak, second Recon Directive. We got an Ultra Ball, and was that a Drakloak?
It was another Drakloak, so likely holding on to the Ultra Ball here, possibly even evolving into a Dusclops. And keeping all 3 of these Stage 1 Pokemon online seems reasonable. Means you're holding on to Neo Upper Energy for next turn, and you have a Research next turn as well, so all looking pretty good. Oh, already the Dusclops in hand.
Nice.
Christian's holding on to a monster here.
Feels like this turn. Oh, and actually Neo Upper is also in hand if it's needed. So not much this turn, but it feels like next turn things are going to start accelerating quickly for Christian. There's the Itchy Pollen, no damage, but also no items for Owen. Owen's taken 1 prize. We see the search out for the Genesect there, revealing the single prize Gholdengo, which has not come out because it's not that useful in this matchup.
No, the Striker Rich is really just a niche card that can sometimes come up in Mirror, can sometimes help Wall Break. Every now and then you can use it as a prize offset Pokemon because it just requires 1 energy attachment, but more or less you always want to be evolving into your coin bonus guy because card draw is pretty good. And it's also the Pokemon that can knock out basically anything in front of it.
Turns out card draw plus infinite damage equals good card.
That's pretty much my analysis. We have some coins to bonus here. We haven't yet had the combination of Cypher pre the coin bonus. Owen's almost always used it after drawing all of his cards for the turn.
Yeah, we see a coin bonus here. Why would somebody do that? The answer very simply is because the coin bonus gives you information which tells you what you need for next turn, and then you Cypher Maniac to make sure you're going to get it on your next turn. You would do it before if there's something you desperately needed, like we saw kind of at the end of the first game, but otherwise, getting what you need, seeing what you've got, and then using Cypher Maniac setup for next turn, absolutely valid. This turn, we get a KO on the Budew, and Christian, you have 3 minutes remaining. You've used Budew, you've done it twice. You've lost both your Budew. Now is the turn you need to go Phantom Dive.
And Christian's just picked up the I&O. I think the only supporter that's better than the Research that he stashed last turn from Recon Directive. So this is the swing turn, Ross, I think. We're going to try and find Countercatcher, going to try and find Jamming Tower, going to try and hand disrupt with I&O, launch those Phantom Phantom Dives and put Owen into this position. One of the crucial Pokemon that Owen wasn't able to find last turn because it was prized was Monkey Dory. He's actually just taken it off the prize cards. But Monkey Dory was really useful in that game number 2 that Owen came out on top in because it then denied the easy 4-prize swing of putting 6 counters onto one Gholdengo whilst then hitting an EX.
Yes.
Now, Christian will have that line available to him, and ideally is going to try and disrupt the hand this turn so Owen doesn't have a likely chance of finding a Turo and still making a meaningful attack.
Yeah, the 260 on Gholdengo works perfectly for a 200 from the active from Phantom Dive and 6 damage counters on the bench. You hit 2 Gholdengo, use Gusting to switch them round, hit the same 2 but in the opposite way, 4-prize swing. That is an option. Owen does have Monkey Dory available, but if you... Oh, you're not going to KO, though, because you want to try and force your opponent into 2 attachments, which they can't do, unfortunately. Now, we do see the Ino coming down after the Neo upper energy, so the attack is there. Owen's on a 4-card hand, and what Owen draws here and what they do on the next turn is going to be the most pivotal part of this game.
First, Christian has a few more draws left as well. Let's flip the script here. I think if we can find a counter catcher, we're once again getting really disruptive. And there could be a chance that Owen can't attack altogether.
That'll be fun.
Next turn. If that happens, then Dragapult is running away with this game. Christian's able to grab a Dust Skull freely from this Buddy Buddy pop-in before the flip the script. Also a recon directive still open to Christian. Chose to just use the active before evolving and committing the Neo up energy. Something we often see from our players, so that they have the highest hand size possible after their use of supporter.
Now, we are at 1 minute remaining pretty much here. Remember, whoever's turn it is when the time runs out is turn 0. They do not get any more turns. Their opponent gets 1 more. So if you can finish your turn and pass before the clock hits 0, then your opponent finishes their turn and you get 1 more. So literally pass or finishing your turn and attacking before the clock runs out will gain you 1 additional turn. You ain't going to get any more than that. There's 40 seconds left. But just finishing your turn before time runs out, like, legit's kind of crucial here.
We're going to Ultra Ball a Dracloak, getting rid of Blood Moon and Psych Energy. Neither of those are too important at this stage. I think that's just trying to thin before this final recon directive. So I still feel Counter Catcher's the missing piece from this hand. We saw 6 cards from the Ino, we saw 3 additional from the Flip the Script. We do have the Jamming Tower available. But if we can combine it with the Counter Catcher, that's where it's going to become devastating. Let's see, hold your breath for the Counter Catcher.
Not yet, not yet.
Round.
Buddy Poffin and a Psychic Energy. Do we have any more draw? There's no more Dracloak, unfortunately. So
yeah, the Dreepy came down this turn, so we're out of draw.
That's a shame.
And I think our players are just hearing that it is now time, and we're now in Christian to conclude his final turn of the game, then Owen to conclude his final turn of the game. And our players are just having a quick discussion at the table as to how this game is playing out.
Absolutely, they are. It's a disappointing situation if the game ends in a tie. Again, this can absolutely affect top 16, top 32, but it will eliminate both players from contention for asymmetrical top cut. 32 points is not going to be enough. Maybe 33 if there's a bunch of ties, we don't know, but 34 is the number we're generally looking at here. 32, unfortunately, will not be enough. So both players looks like they're having a bit of a chat here, kind of trying to figure out, well, if we carried on, how would this game go, essentially?
Looks like a bit of a board state discussion going on. Owen's clutching onto a handful of cards, but as we know, Gholdengo can always draw a bunch more cards during its turn, so it's never really the whole story of what's going on here. Christian noting that the Jamming Tower could have been useful. This is Christian's final action, his final turn being used here. Phantom Dive, 200 to the active Gholdengo EX. Also going to be placing 6 counters to the bench. And then Owen still has his final turn to conclude here.
And then the game will be over, unfortunately. The disappointment there of not being able to get the counter catcher to combine with the Jamming Tower, that would have just been absolutely perfect. So Owen here, we have a 10-minute clock maximum. So you'll notice we are now counting down from 10 minutes, which will then be the conclusion of the game. Here we see Genesect going to do some searching. Oh, there is actually one in there to grab. Okay, because the Ino came down, didn't it?
Yep,
So
all 4 gold